Hey everybody, we are live, Immaculate Perceptions, your favorite podcast, because we have immaculate perceptions about sports. How are you guys doing? I'm your co-host, BitBoy. This is Armando and Andy. How are you guys doing?
Armando, you go first.
It's waiting for you to beat me to the punch. I'm alive and grateful, man. It's been a great week. I'm excited to talk sports and reconnect. I feel like after the draft, it was a long stretch, so it's good to see you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been. There's so much we missed talking about because we were, one of the few AAF people talking about. So we got some stuff to catch up on. We did do the live draft, which was so much fun,
that
by
was
the way,
fun.
I must say.
Yeah,
And I'm just glad to be back and do an episode so we could talk and rant about sports.
we got to do like if this Warriors Rockets series goes like a game seven, we got to live stream that game. That would be freaking awesome. I think.
Sure.
100%.
I love
Well,
live streaming games.
we talked about doing like more live stream style stuff on event oriented stuff. So
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah, I agree. Well, speaking of big events, we had a very big event this weekend, and I've been told that Andy has no idea what happened, which is very interesting. So basically, it was a Kentucky Derby. Was yesterday. Now the Kentucky Derby. Like I actually kind of used to care about it a little bit. I mean, of course, I still care about it from a gambling perspective, but back until we had a Triple Crown, I can't remember what the one that won the Triple Crown was, but then Justified did it again last year. So it was like 2 out of 3 years or something like that. But now that we have the Triple Crown, it's not that interesting anymore, because it seemed like maybe it was never going to happen again or whatever. But in my opinion, I kind of think what happened yesterday may have been a way to get people more interested in horse racing again. Because
Okay.
so Armando, do you want to go over what happened and then I'll show the clip?
So, as best that I can describe, now I'm no equestrian expert, but the horse that was in the lead, Maximum Security, was the favorite in the Derby, right? And so I didn't know this up until yesterday, but the track that they had, the horses only ran one lap. It wasn't 4 laps and then you win, but it was one time around the oval, right? And so in the oval, at the last turn towards the finish line, apparently the Maximum Security horse went into the lane, if you will, the lane of another horse illegally, and that then disqualified the odds-on favorite Maximum Security. So then the second place horse, who was Country House, ended up winning.
Oh,
And so there's
Very-
a whole thing, kind of like
very
in
interesting.
NASCAR, where the cars they don't
Rubbin's
play
racing.
nice.
Rubbin's racing.
That's right.
Right.
So
Well, let's show the clip real quick. Let me
let me
show
see
the
this.
clip. The clip. Let's see. Here it is. Okay.
by the way, I don't know if we're streaming on Twitter. Just saying it out loud.
Are we not? We should be.
I
I
don't
don't-
see. It's not popping up on the Twitter.
not on YouTube either.
It's not on YouTube either. That's very interesting. Well, let me see if I can get that fixed. Or we may just we can post them later as live replays maybe. What do you guys want to do? Do you want to start it over? Why is it not?
Are you
I've got it on
streaming?
I have it on restream. It should be streaming. It should be.
It's not.
It's on, toggle on. It says warning. It says our audio is too fast for it. I'm checking it out right now. I think no, we're live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube, so let's just go with it. So okay, so
All right.
anyways, here's the clip.
Twitter.
Here's the clip from the Kentucky Derby.
All right. Sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can maximize this. Here we go. Turn the volume all the way up, and this
Rock and
is
roll.
what happened.
Everybody will talk about forever in this derby. As Maximum Security moves off that rail, comes out,
Oh, wow.
impedes the path of War and Will, gets in the way of Long Range Toddy and Country
right in
House, and then they make the sweeping turn, come down the stretch. Maximum Security crosses first, holds off Country House to look like he would win.
So that's the clip right there. So that's what happened. It was very interesting. And so here's something that's really crazy. Something that's really crazy is the fact that the horse that got impeded, so that number 2 horse, or the one that was number 2 at the time, that is not the horse that filed the complaint. So the horse that filed the complaint was the one who ended up winning second place and filed the complaint because he impeded the other horse that had nothing to do with the horse on the outside, which was Country House, that ended up winning. Now, Country House, the team came out and said, well, it was basically because he got in the way of that horse, we couldn't get around the horse. It was like a chain reaction, and they couldn't make a move because of it, is what they said. But I never knew in horse racing that they get all clumped up together. Like, I had never in my life thought that you couldn't, get over on another horse. It was a messy track as well. It rained all day, so sloppy conditions and everything. So
why do things like this always happen? Like, consistency, like in horse racing, like every race is the same over and over. Nothing ever happens like this, but it happens to happen on the biggest event of the year. Like, why does that happen, you guys think? Is it publicity? Is it cheating? Because these things happen. Like, I could even go as far as saying the tuck rule, like these little nuances.
That's good. That's a good example.
Like, I mean, when you were talking, I was thinking about the broader picture. It's like, we always also think about like when you're watching a playoff game and there's like, this kicker hasn't missed in 150 million tries.
Jinx.
Well, the reason that happens is because it's like with football specifically is it's already abnormal for a kicker to make like 20 in a row or whatever it is. So of course they're going to bring it up every time. And so at some point he's doomed to miss it or whatever. But it does seem like it happens at a crazy, insane rate,
Is the complaint like even necessary? Like, is this something that they complain about all the time in horse racing that normal people don't know about?
Well, it's only American horse racing rules too, from what I understand. It's not, if it was international, then this isn't even a rule. But and it may just be inside the state of Kentucky because the state of Kentucky sets the Kentucky Derby rules, not actually a larger legislative horse racing body, from my understanding. I could be wrong. I'm also not an equestrian expert. I'm much more expert on things of the bovine nature because I do love brisket. But anyways, I digress.
I guess it's publicity, though. I mean, right now everyone's talking about that.
Yeah, everybody's talking about it. This is the only way that horse racing gets in the headlines right now.
Right.
So it's funny. It's funny. A little foray into the crypto side of things. I just reported on a story on my crypto channel about a horse race, a horse game where you're able to like breed horses that's coming out on a blockchain or whatever. And it was just so funny. Like I said something to the effect of, maybe that game could get some momentum built on the Kentucky Derby thing. I was like, yeah, that'll never happen because nobody pays attention to it. But everybody was talking about it today. So, it is definitely pretty interesting that it has grabbed some headlines. And the larger part of this story that people, a lot of people who are interested in horse racing are only interested for one reason: gambling, right? So my wife was like, why is this even that huge of a deal? I was like, well, a 65 to 1 shot won. Second longest odds to ever win the Kentucky Derby. Second longest. You had to go back to, I think it was 1919 or like 100 years almost to find a longer, shot than this one. Now, put yourself in this scenario. You're at the Kentucky Derby. You're literally there. You've gambled on a horse to win. Okay. You gambled on, let's say, 3 horses, and you missed it by 1 horse. Your number 4 horse did not win, okay? Or, your number 3 horse won. You're like, whatever. You throw your ticket away. The race is over. You see the winner. You throw your ticket on the ground because you lost. Now, all of a sudden, they come back in, and they have disqualified a horse, which is in chain reaction, affects every place of every ticket. They said that people yesterday were scouring trash cans in the ground looking for tickets because people had thrown their tickets away, So you look at the larger picture. They said $90 million was lost on that decision. $90 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's crazy.
I saw people on Twitter yesterday that posted, they're like, oh, I told you maximum security is going to win. I gambled big on him. Yada yada yada. Excited, and then 10 minutes later, all of a sudden, imagine, I've taken some bad losses in sports. One of the worst losses I took was I bet on the Seahawks and the Cowboys game last year. I think it was the Cowboys. They were 2-point favorites, and I bet on them to win by more than 2 points. And anyways, they ended up, I think, winning by, it looked like it was in the bag because they were winning by 10 points or it was 2.5 point spread. They were winning by 10 points with like a minute left, and Seattle scored a touchdown. And because Janikowski had hurt his leg earlier in the game, they ended up going for 2 for no reason because they couldn't kick. And they made the 2-point conversion. And so I'm up by 10 with 2 minutes left, and I freaking lose. That was a bad hit. I can't imagine something being a worse loss than this right here. Like, you've got the win, and then all of a sudden they take it away from you. Could you imagine? I can't.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it freaking sucks.
That's a scary thing, is that on a Kentucky Derby, they usually go after the favorites, you know?
Yeah.
That's usually who you go after. What were the odds again for the
65-1. So you
Country House.
You lay 100, you win 6,500. So crazy.
Wow.
Well, okay, so that's enough talking about horse racing. I feel like we really we did exactly what the Kentucky Derby wanted us to do. They want us to talk horse racing, and we did it. So let's move on. So, Andy, you've got something you want to show us from our favorite New York Jet, Robbie Anderson?
Yeah, we're just continuing down this parodying Robbie Anderson with the Jets fans, and I love what the Jet fans are doing. So on the Reddit, they literally put this guy behind a sun like he's a god, and they call him Robbie Anderson, the Rodna god. Look at this. This is, and all I'm showing you guys is that this is a fan base parodying themselves in a fun way, and this guy is gonna kill it this year. So we'll continue to quote him on Twitter, and of course, just wanted to see what you guys thought of his new icon on the Jets Reddit.
He's a one-of-a-kind character. He's a one-of-a-kind character for sure. What is he going to come out and have a big season this year?
I think so. I think so. Anunwa went down mid-season, and he really stepped it up the last 4 games of the year. Just stepped up and became the number 1 receiver, and he proved it to us and the fans that he was balling. You know, a lot of these receivers give up but he was catching balls and scoring touchdowns. So
I think defense is needing to put more attention on L. Bell and the running game. It's going to open some things up for Robbie that much more, especially with play action down the field. So I do expect to have a big season.
Yeah, I agree. The misconception with him is that everyone thought he was one track, where he was just like the deep threat. But this season, towards the end, he proved he was a slant guy. He could do outs. He was all over the place, proving he could be a receiver that could do all the routes, not just the down the field guy.
Yeah.
So that's growth. And, when you see receivers lead into their 3rd and 4th season, that's where they're supposed to hit their strides. Like
look at DeAndre Hopkins. He was a great example of that. Like his first 2 years, like he didn't do that much because Andre Johnson was there. And you're like, oh man, the Texans will never get another receiver like Andre Johnson. He was there the whole time, and then 3 or 4 years later, all of a sudden people are making argument he's the best receiver in the league, He's
good, man.
He has the best hands in the NFL, up for 100%. There's nobody that has better hands than that guy.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good example. And I guess I'm really hoping this is his official breakout season, probably. Yeah. And he'll get a good contract with the Jets. So
best hands, really quick, if OBJ didn't go to the Browns, I might have made a play to say OBJ, but he's dead to me.
OBJ is he's one of those players, man. Like he makes a lot of really great catches, but then sometimes he drops balls that he should catch. I feel like Hopkins doesn't really. I don't ever see Hopkins drop anything. If it touches his hands, they're like glue. Like it's going on there for sure. Yeah, OBJ. True. I mean, there's definitely an argument for OBJ though. I mean, I'll hear that one out. Julio, in my mind, Julio is the best receiver in the league, but he doesn't have the best hands in the league. He's the most physical for sure. But sometimes I wish he'd make some catches he doesn't make. But he made some incredible ones, like in the Super Bowl. He made that really awesome one on the sidelines and stuff. But anyways, so it's time for us, I believe, to talk about something that was near and dear to our hearts, and we talked about every single week, and we're very excited about it, and we really thought it was taking off, and now, it's just a little piece of history of the sports world, which is the AAF. So, what did you guys think about? We haven't really had chance since we took a couple week break to talk about the AAF, and I'm obviously wearing my Atlanta Legends hat, that they no longer exist. So what do you guys think was the downfall of the league?
I think it was the case of it's too good to be true. And a good example of news that was wrong. We didn't really know what was really going on, and they were doing a good job hiding that fact.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get this investor with the North Carolina Hurricanes from hockey, and we feel like we're saved. The guy spends 78 million, realizes, wait a minute, I'm losing everything. I got to pull the plug, and I don't blame him. So we really learned the truth when the investor they brought in later, that guy, saved the league.
Yeah.
He's the one that ended the league.
Well,
So
because
let's not
yeah,
had to.
the reason why he actually ended it is because his plan and the reason he was doing it, investing in the AAF, was to get the NFL on board to basically treat it like
Developmental.
a developmental league. And the NFL said, no, we're not going to do that. And, you know, the direction of the league wanted, AAF wanted to be solo, its own independent thing. The investor who saved it wanted to go the route of the NFL. And when the NFL said, we're not going to do that, it became clear that it wasn't going to work for him to keep investing in the league, and that's why it closed up. So I told my family the other day, we were talking about it, like, man, it was really cool that we got to go to a game. We went to one game, and that's a piece of history. Like, that would have been like going to an XFL game, like, when it happened. Like, it was here, it was gone like that, it was brief, but, you know, it was definitely, it was something. It was definitely
We're
something.
going to see a 30 for 30 on this in the future.
Oh, the XFL 30 for 30 is one of the best ones, I think.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
awesome.
I mean,
We see that Donald Trump was all involved in it. I actually never even knew that.
oh, I know. Oh, yeah, he was, definitely. He owned the New York team. So,
Yeah.
oh, no, did he?
Or was
He
that
might have. Or
was
it might
that
have
was that
helped.
another
No, you're
league?
thinking of the
I'm thinking of the other
USFL.
league, the USFL. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, way back.
Well, that's another good 30 for 30.
Right. That's another good
Sure.
example of this. Here we are again. Another league tries it and they failed. Now, who wins? Who wins here? As all the players lost, all the coaches lost, but who wins?
Who
I'm asking
wins?
you guys.
The NFL.
Who wins?
The NFL wins.
Not even. Who really wins? Come on.
Steve Spurrier.
We talked about him too in his other league. Come on.
Oh, XFL, Vince McMahon.
Oh, Vince McMahon. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Now,
yeah.
Here's the difference. Vince McMahon is a billionaire, self-earning guy. Before the league crashed for AAF, we heard that investment he did for himself.
It was 270 million, I think.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
he hear something? He's like, he was so smart to say, I'm waiting 2 years.
Yeah.
He watched the AFL sink. Now, what's exciting is we still get to see another league try it next season. So
Well,
that's the good news.
I didn't know how rich Vince McMahon is. I mean, to hear that he pulled out, I think it was 2% of his WWE stock.
Share.
2% of his stock shares, and it was $270 million or something crazy like that. Maybe it was 70 million. It was a lot, though. I was like, that's 2% of only one of his investments. That guy is flipping loaded. But I want to bring this up because this is pretty interesting. So just this week, I was looking at my phone. I was going through my apps and trying to clean some stuff up. I noticed I still have the AAF app. And so I said, let me go check it out. You go check out the AAF app. It's like nothing ever happened. It's like it's like stuck. It's like a moment in time. It's got the scores from the last week. And if you click on schedule, it shows the games for like week 8, the game that was going to be the games that were going to be next. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that'll go down. Like, do you guys remember the Space Jam website? Did you guys ever see that? No, you never. I wonder if it's still up. I think just recently somebody had closed it down. Let me see here if it's still up. Let me check. The Space Jam the Space Jam website from whatever year that it had launched, they still had the website up. The original Space Jam website.
That's cool.
Let's see if they still got it here. Yeah, I think they do. Here it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Like, and you can still, everything's still clickable. They got the site map, Junior Jam, the lineup. You click on this. It's like such a vintage website, Like, then they got this cast bio. Can you click this?
Look at that wallpaper.
Oh, you can click. You can click the locker room. Look, you can see all the Monstars. Like, this is cool, right? Like, who would have thought? So this is like a famous meme, basically. I mean, it's not really a meme, but you guys understand. It's like internet culture. Like, the Space Jam website is still up, So I wonder if maybe that AAF app, like, maybe they'll always keep it up or whatever. It might be something interesting. I don't know. What do you guys think? You love it?
I mean,
I can't believe Andy doesn't know about the Space Jam website. I'm surprised by that.
No, I do. Like, you just show me that. I was on that back in 1990, whatever. There's no doubt. I didn't know that it was still up. I think there's a few websites like that where they are still like that, but that's cool to see.
Yeah.
And there is a new Space Jam coming out, right?
Yeah, so I'm sure that Space Jam website will be making rounds again. They aren't going to touch that. I guarantee it. Like, that's such a like meme thing in internet culture. Like, the Space Jam website. Like, I remember finding it like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it looked old. Yeah. Now it's like it's insane. It takes me back to those old days where you had to download a picture and it would be like one line at a time. So, all right. Well, let's move on. Let's talk basketball for a minute. So. We got a lot of series going on right now. Obviously, most notably, here behind me, we have Steph Curry missing a dunk, which was an absolutely pivotal play in this game last night. The game goes to overtime, which, interestingly enough, the Warriors are 0-6 in playoff games this year. No, that was pretty interesting. Yes, they're 0-6 this year in overtime in the whole season. This is their first game, I believe, in the playoffs they played overtime. But yeah, they lost. So basically, they were down by 6 when this happened. 5 or 6. Steph Curry, let's just watch the clip, actually. Let me pull up the clip here for you guys to see.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah. Did you see it, Andy? Have you not even seen it yet?
Not yet.
Oh, you're going to see it now.
I've had a busy week.
He makes a pretty sweet little move right here, and then he just gets... All right, here we go.
Here's the play mark.
Can you guys hear the volume? Yeah, hold on. I think I forgot to share the volume. Hold on one second. Let me redo that.
Fair enough.
Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, here we go. So here's the clip.
It's a blind screen. No communication.
Draymond, look, goes behind the back.
Oh, wow.
If that's me, I'm mad at my big guys not communicating. But both you guys surprised they didn't try and foul them?
Let's watch one more time the missed dunk.
If that's me, I'm mad at my big guys not communicating.
And when I saw that play, I said to myself, he's going to try to dunk this. I knew he was going to because he actually, earlier, I think in this series or either in the Clippers series, there was a play where there was a foul, but Steph Curry was on a breakaway. And he was all by himself, and he went ahead. He just dunked it. It was at home. The Warriors crowd went crazy. It didn't even count. And I said, man, he's feeling himself right now. He's going to go for this dunk. And in a pivotal moment in this game when all he had to do was lay it up, he got too fancy, goes for the dunk. They missed the dunk. The Warriors don't even foul. They're down 5 with like 18 seconds left. They don't even foul. They just let the game play out at that point.
Just shows you their arrogance. Like,
it does.
We can come back.
But they're going to win.
We can come back. It's fine.
But they're going to win.
If Houston wins this next game,
they won't
at home, and the series goes up 2-2, and then it's back and forth. Golden State, Houston, Golden State, anything's possible.
This series is going to go 5 games. The Warriors or Rockets were very lucky to win that game. I think
that happens, man. I mean, that kind of thing happens. Like, you miss those shots, man. It happens to all the best players. It's happened.
It does.
Michael Jordan had it probably happen to him.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you guys remember the Nike commercial? It was like, I've missed more game-winning shots than I made, yada, yada, yada. Well, the thing about it is, everybody before this series, everybody before the playoffs started, they said, oh, the Warriors are very vulnerable. Like, Rockets are going to beat them. This team's going to beat them. That's going to happen. It's not happening. The Warriors are going to win again this year. Their talent level is just too high above everybody else. If you look back at some other teams that were extremely talented that did not win, you go back to the Lakers in 2004 that they lost, I think, 4-1 to the Pistons. They had Kobe, Shaq, I believe Robert Horry, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, Derek Fisher. Like, they were absolutely loaded. But a lot of those players were at the very, very, very end of their career. I think that was the last game, the last season that Karl Malone.
That was such a cry to, like, got to get these guys rings.
Yeah.
Like, and it never happened, never worked out anyway. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, I thought, man, I was so mad about that series. Back then,
Wasn't
I
Stockton there?
wanted Kobe to beat Michael Jordan in rings, and it never happened. So he got 5
Wait,
though.
hold on. Stockton wasn't there, was he?
No.
No, he was a lifer for the Jazz.
Just a lifer, Jazz.
Yeah.
Malone was, though. Malone was.
Yeah. So that's another team that was super talented that didn't win, but there were a lot of extenuating circumstances. Here, with this team, they're too talented not to win. You have Kevin Durant, who is by far the best player in the NBA right now. I mean, period. There's not another player that can match him right now. Not LeBron. LeBron cannot even match him right now. Now, LeBron comes back next season.
You don't
he's
hear me saying anything.
He's 100% next season. He comes back. You know, they got Tyronn Lue's going to end up being their coach. Like, maybe LeBron makes that push and goes back to the top. But right now, Kevin Durant's the best player in the game. A lot of these shots Kevin Durant is making, these fadeaway, he's doing things that I haven't seen players do. He will use his knee. His knee is so big. Basically, he'll just use his knee and bump the defender, lean back on his right leg, and he's so tall and so lanky, you cannot block it. And he just gets a wide open shot every single time he gets the ball if he wants it in the post. So Kevin Durant is balling.
It's like Dirk, but better.
Yeah. I think what's going to be really interesting is next season when Kevin Durant leaves the Warriors, he goes to the Knicks, and now the Warriors are back to Steph, Clay, and Draymond. They will probably bring in another piece. I don't know who it'll be.
They might have Boogie if Boogie comes back.
Boogie's gonna go somewhere and get a contract, I think. I don't know. Maybe this hurt leg he has right now is really gonna end up hurting him for his contract. Maybe he's got to stay there. But even if Kevin Durant were to leave the Warriors, I think they're still the favorite in the NBA.
I think he would be a damn fool if he left. You have the
I agree.
cushiest setup. You have the strongest supporting cast, one of the best coaches, a rabid fan base.
And I think they hate each other now. I think Kevin Durant and Draymond hate each other. I'm sure of that. So that's hard when you've got something that appears to be a really, really solid thing on the outside, but on the inside it's crumbling. That's what happened to the Lakers. I mean, look at Kobe and Shaq. Kobe and Shaq should have won 8 championships. And
Shaq let himself go and did not take care of himself.
I agree.
Wasn't as hard of a worker. But if these guys work hard and continue to win championships, I don't have to like you, Ben. But if we have the #1 rated sports podcast in America, I'm going to make all the smiles and all the air high fives on this podcast, regardless if I hate your guts.
Well, we'll get Kevin Durant on the podcast. We're the
Armando,
#1 podcast.
Is there really a reason to bring our drama out in the public right now? I mean, do you really want to do this right now?
I was trying to make a comparison.
Okay. It's fine.
Listen,
For illustrative purposes.
You guys aren't talking about the major issue with the NBA, and this has always been a problem. This isn't a team sport anymore.
No,
it's the individual game. You're rooting for one, like Kevin Durant and Curry on the same team is like saying Superman and Batman are working together on the same team. Like, what's going? And it's like, how do you make the NBA a little bit more fair? Like in the NFL, a team can win on any given Sunday, right? I don't know why. It's even in the early 90s, you knew what teams were going to win in the NBA. You just knew.
Yeah.
Jordan was going to win every year. Like now LeBron, every year goes to the finals. I think there's just, as much as I love basketball.
Except for this year, the 1 year he actually goes to my team. Thanks, LeBron.
Right. Yeah. Which is another mess, I think, for the NBA.
Oh,
I
sure.
think it was a poor move for LeBron for the NBA to go to the Lakers.
Well,
Why?
it was a poor move for Magic Johnson
to
leave in the middle of it. You know.
You didn't like it, and I get that, Andy.
I'm in LA.
I hear you. And the Lakers have been one of the most storied franchises in the entire NBA for decades.
They're not the Yankees. I get it.
They are like the Yankees of the NBA, right? So you bring one of the biggest, if not the biggest stars to your team. That's a good thing for the NBA. However, because of terrible mismanagement from the top down, a second-generation Jeannie Buss who got the team from her daddy doesn't know what she's doing. She's getting advice from all the wrong places. And then you have injuries to key players on their team and terrible coaching. And it's just, it's spiraled out of control. It was the worst case scenario with anything that could have happened did. I suspect next year to be better.
Well, I'll go back to one.
I hope so.
I'll go back to a move that absolutely shaped the NBA today. Like, this is a move that occurred that was so stupid in my mind that totally changed the landscape of the entire NBA, which was, if you guys remember, Chris Paul got traded from the Hornets to the Lakers, and the commissioner nixed it and said no. And what ends up happening, Dwight Howard and Steve Nash end up going to the Lakers the next year. Chris Paul ends up going to the Clippers. And there's a lot of reverberating effects. You can look at that one move as the thing that really screwed the Lakers. That is the move that basically put the Lakers in the position they're at right now. And like I said, it totally changed the landscape of the NBA. It made the Clippers good. The Clippers were actually good for several years after that. So really disappointing how that happened. I'm still upset about it, honestly. I felt like that really screwed. Like Kobe could have got 1 or 2 more championships, I felt like, but it didn't happen. But this here is the quote. So this just came out over the last day from LeBron regarding Magic Johnson. So and this is from HBO's The Shop, which is like LeBron's barbershop show on HBO or whatever. It says, "My right hand comes to me and says, Magic just stepped down." LeBron said, "I'm like, you mean from out his car? Get the F out of my face." He's like, "Go check your phone." So he goes and checks it, and he says, "No one had any idea." We were like, damn, like right now, it was literally 70 minutes on the clock before the game. I'm not playing, but my team is still playing, and you kind of decide to do that right there, or right here, right now. I feel like there's a time and a place for things, and I believe that you knew that you were going to make that decision, so why would you do it here, and why would you do it now? And I think this is absolutely fascinating stuff here, because Magic is the reason why LeBron went to the Lakers. Magic went and had a meeting with LeBron at his house, or either LeBron went to Magic's house.
Magic went to his house.
Yeah, they had never actually met face to face. It was, I think he went over at like 10 o'clock at night on that Saturday night, talked to him. They talked for 2 hours, and LeBron bought in and said, "You know what, this is what I'm going to do." And then, the next, we fast forward about a year later, not even a year, 9 months later, and Magic Johnson has already quit. And it's a terrible look for Magic. So, and for
like
LeBron, what's
ego
LeBron going to do?
man. It sounds like an ego thing, man.
Yeah.
It's just like
Potentially, but there's also been some grumblings that Jeannie Buss, right, president, owner of the team, not president, but the owner, was going to force Magic to fire Luke Walton. And he didn't want to fire Luke because Magic's a nice guy. He wants to be affable. He wants people to know him, to like him, to love him. He didn't want to have to make the hard decisions, and he damn sure doesn't want to spend 60, 70 hours a week scouting players from all the way from the Mediterranean all the way to Russia and back. So it's a grind. We're the president of basketball operations, general manager. It is a grind. And
wait, hold on. Does Luke Walton? Does LeBron have Luke's back?
No, LeBron doesn't like Luke. But you know what happened?
Luke
Luke got fired eventually.
Okay.
And then he got a job right away with the Sacramento Kings.
And then he got accused of rape. Or sexual assault. Yes, absolutely. I'll pull up a story right now. Yeah. Maybe rape was too strong of a word, but let me pull up exactly what happened here. This is big news.
The movement, everything is rape these days. You got to be careful.
Well, I was listening on the on Mad Dog Radio on XM, and basically what they were saying was that, it seems like this is a little coincidental, that all of a sudden he leaves LA and goes to Sacramento, and now this happens. So former Lake coach Luke Walton accused of sexual assault in a lawsuit. Former sports reporter says she was assaulted in a hotel room. Walton is now the coach of the Kings. Kings and Walton have no comments on allegations. So what I've been hearing is, and people have been saying, is that maybe this was a girl he actually had a long-term relationship with, and he moves to Sacramento, and he basically tells her, like, "I'm going to be with my family." Now, this is all speculation. This is what people were speculating on the radio that I was listening to. And basically saying that, he basically had to cut it off with her, and that's why she comes out and says this. So I don't know, but I can say the timing of it.
Speculation again.
It's all speculation, but the timing of it is very weird. Like, you're in LA for all these years and nothing ever comes out. The day you leave, all of a sudden this comes out. So I don't know. Yeah. Maybe the Lakers knew about. Maybe the Lakers knew about this, and maybe they were paying her off. And now that he's gone, once again speculation, trying to come up with some reason why this would happen the week that he leaves the Lakers. So
the last 10 words of that first paragraph: during his time as an assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors. This is at least 4 years ago, if not longer.
Yeah.
To your point, Ben, that's just disgusting.
I was gonna say, well, before you mentioned this whole like accusing and sexual assault stuff, I was gonna say he has serviced the Lakers industry, the Lakers for years. We're talking about not only as a bench player and actually a starter before
Yeah.
the Kobe days. Then he
Yeah.
played the bench and would play like was just helping players grow. Then they give him the coach job, which I thought made sense.
I thought he was going to
Now
be such a great coach. Because don't you guys remember when he was at Golden State and Steve Kerr was out for almost that whole year, and that was the year they won 72 games.
But that's why I wasn't surprised he would have gotten picked up the very next day
Yeah.
to another organization. He's
Yeah.
got years of experience.
Yeah, but is he really that good, or did
I
he
don't know.
coach one of the best rosters in the history of the NBA?
Well, I mean, look,
Listen,
he's still got that
let me ask you
roster, and they're struggling right now. I don't win though.
Let me
Always
let
have
me
to say
ask you
that.
something. Let's be hypothetical here. Armando, say you were picked to be the new coach of the I don't know, let's pick the Raptors, and LeBron James is coming, and also Curry is coming, and you are the first coach for the Raptors to coach these two big guys. The pressure is on for you to be able to handle these big names. That is not easy, and it ruins coaches' careers. So LeBron is like a curse to some coaches. No offense to LeBron, but he is. You know, like
Yeah,
he is.
he's a coach killer. I mean,
He's
I
a
remember
coach killer.
he tried to get Eric Spoelstra fired and get Pat Riley to come down and coach.
So now we're
Van
in
Gundy
LA, and now
didn't Van Gundy get fired because of him, or was Van Gundy already fired? I can't
probably
remember.
got fired.
I think Van Gundy was already fired.
Yeah, I think you're right.
LeBron, like other coaches, or like other players, excuse me, responds well to coaches that he respects.
Yeah.
Luke Walton was never a great player, wasn't a superstar.
Yeah, but neither is
wasn't a
Tyronn
star.
Lue, and he loves Tyronn Lue though.
True.
He lets him run
However,
over him, is what it is.
Tyronn Lue has earned his respect. How, why, what for? Couldn't tell you. But Tyronn Lue has no problem putting LeBron's feet to the fire and chewing him out in practices, in games, etc. Other coaches, they kowtow, they get a little sheepish, they don't put him in his place because he's just as important as the other members of the team, but they treat him differently and play him with kid gloves because he's an only child that needs special hand-holding. But Tyronn Lue does not do that. He's brought out the best in LeBron and brought the only championship to Cleveland they've ever had.
Okay, who had the best step over Tyronn Lue? LeBron or Allen Iverson? All right, guys, let's shift gears. We got one more topic to cover. Let's shift gears here back to the NFL draft. So we did the live stream of the NFL draft, and kind of just what I want to do is we all give one take on our overall thought on the draft, and then one take on our individual teams. Obviously, my team is the Falcons, Andy's team is the Jets, and Armando's team is the New York Giants. So I was so glad that you were on this live stream with us, Armando. That was so fun. So everybody want to just give us one overall thought on the draft. Andy, you want to go first?
Yeah, obviously the Jets didn't have like a ton of picks, but defense was key, and I think we got the best player in the draft. You know,
I agree.
I think overall that guy's just gonna fill in they're gonna put him in, and it's gonna be great. The Williams brothers, I mean they're not brothers, but you got two Williamses, and then you got the defensive coordinator Williams. The Jets just upgraded on a team that I think they did a great job in free agency. A lot of theatrics before the pick, but it was good to see the Jets just stay put, take the best guy on the board, and just like go with it. Forget the trading back stuff. We want to win now. Grab that player. Like, I think the Jets made the right move. Overall, I think the draft every year is exciting, but there's something missing every year. I'm missing this, like, we were talking about how like the ESPN correspondents were awful.
Yeah.
Just terrible. And it's great that they're moving the draft to like different cities, but I feel like every year it's getting less and less, like, I don't know. Are you guys feeling that way? That's how I feel. The nostalgia of the draft is missing. Maybe they got to go back to New York. I don't know. Overall, fun time. Good for my team. Can't say the same for the Giants, but
yeah, we'll let Armando go last because that's going to be the most fun take of all. Yeah, Andy, I know what you mean. I think part of it is the build up to the draft can never possibly live up to what we actually get from the draft. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
There's so much focus on the combine. Like this year, my kid's 7, like my kid is obsessed with watching the combine, like it comes on, he like recorded it. He'd watch it every day. And because, they make all these kind of like tangible measurements up to be the end all be all, and they really build it up so that even a 7-year-old is excited to watch it. They make it such big production value. Then you have the free agency that comes in, and people are, teams are grabbing, different players, and, quarterbacks are being, going on different teams and things. And then by the time you get to the NFL draft, like there, especially a draft like this one, there just aren't enough good players at the top to be able to, in my opinion, live up to the hype. Like, I mean, think, you had the number 4 pick that the Raiders did was a guy that a lot of people considered to be a late first rounder or a second rounder, and said that they could have gotten him at the 24 pick. So why did they pick him with the 4th pick and not try to trade down and stuff? That's because, like, there's not that much difference between the 4th rated player and the 30th rated player right now. And, this was a bad draft in my opinion. You didn't have a lot of great quarterbacks.
It was a really bad one.
I think the Broncos did good to get Drew Lock. I think that was a good place for him to go. He ended up going in the 2nd round, I think. But outside of that, you had Daniel Jones getting picked, which we'll let Armando talk about that. Obvious super reach. I know Andy and I were shocked. I told Armando before the draft, I said, the Giants love this guy. They're going to pick him. But in my mind, I'm thinking they're picking him later on with where they have like the 16th or 18th pick or the 30th pick, whatever.
17th.
Yeah.
You could have had Josh Allen and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. And so, but the thing is like all these rankings, I think we buy in too much to Mel Kiper, and I just mean that to mean
I agree.
We buy
100%.
too much in to what these analysts are saying, like this is the 4th best player.
Yeah.
But the people that are the true experts, the scouts, the teams, their rankings are totally different than what we get. And, a good example of that would have been a pick that at first I was upset about with my Falcons, getting I think Chris Lipscomb is his name. Picked him number 14, I believe is the draft pick we had, number 14 overall. He was ranked in the 50s.
Right.
We probably could have got him in the 2nd round. But, we went by need. Like our biggest need was offensive tackle. And it just so happened he was the number 1 rated offensive tackle, but he was in the 50s. And once again, it gets back to this point of there just isn't that much separation between players. And we see, like, when you got players like Tom Brady that come out in the 6th round and become the greatest of all time, or you look at at Deion Jones, we got him in the 2nd round. And we got Grady Jarrett in the 3rd round, and those are our best 2 defensive players. I think we kind of overall, kind of build up the first 10 picks to be too much, I think. And so the Falcons, my overall thought on our picks were that, we traded back into the 1st round. We gave up our 2nd and 3rd round pick to get 2 offensive linemen that will both be starters first year, no doubt about it. So you know what? We shored up our biggest weakness, So at first I was a little disappointed because I was buying into those numbers, But then you look at who was the number 1 rated offensive lineman, which was Jawan Taylor from Florida. He ended up not even going to like the middle of the 2nd round, So I think we don't get the full story on, who's who and where they're really ranked. So take it away, Armando. It's your turn.
It's all yours.
You feel so good. And now after you've had time to reflect, you feel great about that pick, right?
So I'll start macro
with
the draft, and then I'll go micro to the New York Football, almost Browns, Giants. The draft in general, I heard you guys say, it's kind of a weak draft, and I'm going to push back a little bit. I think that if you were looking for that stud quarterback, sure. A couple years ago, we had a loaded quarterback draft. Fine. This year was overwhelmingly defensive in nature. A lot of the big guys up front, defensive tackles, DNs, some linebackers. If your team needed defense, your scouts and your brass were like, we're going to have our pick. It was a loaded defensive draft. And if your team was in the business of stocking up on defense, you made out like a bandit. Now the Giants. So you're right. I have had time to reflect. If you saw the video, the live stream during the draft, I lost my marbles. pretty aggressively. It was all real.
Live.
It was live, and for a bunch of different reasons. In no particular order, the fact that I believe the Giants should have taken Haskins. Haskins was rated higher, was more productive in college. It was also a reach at that position. You could have got him back at 17 and gotten the defensive end out of Kentucky, Josh Allen, or outside linebacker, whatever position he plays. But some of the things that really grinded my gears was listening to the Giants general manager, Dave Gettleman, and hearing his insights, and I'm using air quotes on purpose, his insights about how he became enamored with Daniel Jones and drafting him 6th overall.
Tell us how.
At the press conference, which they delayed. Normally, right, a lot of teams, after they make their draft picks and they make the requisite phone calls, et cetera, they'll then go up to a podium and then have a few minutes. But it's in relative short order. They don't wait hours and hours and hours. Dave Gettleman waited hours and hours and hours before giving the press conference because he knew, okay, I got to say something that's not going to get me crucified in the New York media. It didn't work. He still got skewered. He said, among many things, I knew after watching 3 series in the Senior Bowl where they don't play defense at all. It's powder puffs to make sure no one gets injured for the combine and the draft. The Senior Bowl, 3 series. After watching for 3 series, I knew we had a professional quarterback. That's how he says it. I want to punch him in the face every time I hear it.
He's a big dude, man.
3 series in the Senior Bowl. You know what? I could take him with as much anger that is raging within me. I could take him and I'd punch him right in the larynx. Okay? 3 series in the Senior Bowl. They don't play defense in the Senior Bowl. 3 series where they don't play defense. Oh, and by the way, this is the same organization that picked the MVP of the Senior Bowl, who was also Daniel Jones, last year with Kyle Lauletta, and the year before that. Whoever that Thomas said Trump. The chump's name. I don't even know who he was. If you want to look him up, the last 3 Senior Bowl MVPs.
Davis Webb. Was it Davis
Thank
Webb?
you. It was Davis.
He's on the Jets, Davis Webb.
Is he now?
He was on the
He
was on the Giants.
He broke
Eli's
streak.
I know he did.
So the idea that the Giants have now drafted 3 Senior Bowl MVPs as quarterback as the heir apparent to Eli. It didn't work the first 2 times, you idiots. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
Yeah.
To Webb's credit, though, they never really gave him a shot.
He was garbage. There's no reason to give him a shot because he was garbage.
Well, let me tell you. Okay? Let me tell you something I thought was very interesting.
I have more, but cut me off.
I'm sorry. No, let him go.
No, I want to say this point because I want to hear him say, respond to this as well, which was Dave Gettleman, is on the record as saying he knows quarterbacks because he worked with Cam Newton and I can't remember who. I don't remember where he was before, but basically he was talking about his acumen for working with quarterbacks and stuff like that. And the point is, he's never drafted one before. Like all these good quarterbacks that he's been the general manager of on a team, he's never actually picked a solid quarterback. So I thought that was so funny that he was touting that as like, I think I know a little something about quarterbacks. You've never drafted one, bro. I think this is one step away from nepotism. I think it's about as close to being nepotism without being nepotism as you can get.
You have a guy who literally looks like Eli.
He does.
Whose coach used to coach Eli and Peyton.
They both got booed when they got drafted too.
And was the counselor at the Manning Passing Academy or Quarterback Academy.
Yeah.
It looks, reeks, smells just like nepotism. You're absolutely right.
So,
but make a plan. You're either going to rebuild, and that's why you traded away OBJ. That's why you let Landon Collins go instead of franchise tagging him and getting some value out of him for the next year. If you're going to rebuild. But no, you in win right now modes. Let's keep Eli and let's draft a running back. But they're inconsistent. If you're going to go all in now, then have all your draft picks and all of your signings or releasings be within that game plan. If you're trying to rebuild, Control-Alt-Delete, let's reboot this sucker and have all your draft picks and signings coincide with that game plan. They're doing both, which means you have nothing. Dave Gettleman is a fool, and he's screwing up this entire organization from the top down since he got here. And I'm very frustrated as a Giants fan.
Andy, how do you feel? How do you feel to hear this guy whose team has won 2 Super Bowls in the last 10 years complaining like this?
Yeah, you know,
I hear these Giants fans. They're like, oh, this is literally the worst time it's ever been being a Giants fan.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Welcome to my entire life.
All right, hold on.
When you're watching the systematic crapping the bed from the top down of your organization that you root for, that you've invested in time, energy, effort, money, because I got like 3-4 jerseys. I named my dog Eli, for crying out loud.
All right.
I'm all in.
Hold on, Giants
Stop
fan.
mucking it up.
It's time to get It's time to get a little Danny boy. Get a little Danny boy dog.
Let me just say that I have been through this as a Jets fan 100 times over. This situation you're going through, we as Jet fans have 100% experience, so we know how to handle it. Giant fans, on the other hand, cannot handle it. Now, here's my prediction for you guys. I figured it all out. There's some conspiracy with the Manning family and this guy.
I agree.
Not only is there some seed connection to Peyton Manning and Archie Manning, who knows? He looks like Eli. But here's what's going to happen. Ready? Mid-season, Eli's going to go down. The Giant fans are going to beg to see Daniel Bryan or Eli's Jones. I'm sorry, or
Daniel Bryan's
or
wrestler.
that's the wrestler Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Sorry. But what I'm saying is my prediction is that either Eli's going to get injured or has to be benched, and they're going to say, let's bring in the kid. This guy is not ready to go. He's going to get killed. But if he does good, my prediction is Eli Manning in 2 years will be on the Denver Broncos because Flacco will have an awful season. Guess who the perfect candidate for the next Denver Broncos old quarterback? Eli Manning.
It is.
Just
Unless Drew Lock does well and takes that spot. But the last several quarterbacks Elway has picked.
Isn't that an Elway? That's an Elway quarterback all the way.
He hasn't drafted a good quarterback yet.
Nobody's like, hey, who we got coming up? Let's keep a tag on Eli because the Giants are really screwing it up back there. He's going to be gone in a year, so we got Eli on the list.
Does Eli have more years left? I think he does. Eli
I
don't
will
know.
Start on another team. That's my prediction. He will be a starter because there's going to be a problem with him and the Giants, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to be good. I'm from a New Yorker, and being in that area, something's going to happen this year.
He had decent stats from a West Coast offense, nearly 70% completion percentage, but he had one of the best receivers in the league, taking quick slants for touchdowns, lots of screen game to inflate his stats. He's going to go someplace else. And without all those weapons, and even though there's still a terrible line, he's not going to put up numbers. He's more than faded.
I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. I don't think he's going to go anywhere else, honestly. I believe that this Daniel Jones pick, is evidence that he's not going to go anywhere because he was involved in this pick. If we look at the drama that occurred between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and Ben Roethlisberger and Mason Rudolph, and also Aaron Rodgers, now the Packers are talking about drafting a quarterback of the future, and he's already said, like, I'm not going to help somebody who comes in after me. You look at Eli, who obviously did not show any intention to help Davis Webb, to help, wasn't Geno there? Was Geno the one that actually broke that streak, or was it Davis Webb? Did he start?
It was Geno, I believe. Geno Smith?
I can't remember.
The one and only? The one and only Geno Smith?
Was it Webb? Geno Smith was on the team, though, last year, I think.
Yeah,
he was, which was another weird signing by the Giants.
So Eli hasn't shown any interest in training up a new quarterback. So he's involved with this pick. His family loves him. He's got a close relationship with David Cutcliffe, who coached Daniel Jones, brings him in. I kind of look at this is Eli's year to start, regardless of how bad they do. I think Eli's going to finish this season out. If there's some games where it gets away, Daniel Jones will definitely get some snaps and things like that. And the next year, Eli's still on the team, is there really kind of as that older mentor, as the backup. I think this is signifying that Eli wants to finish in New York. That's what I think. I think that
I think you're 100% correct. He does, but I think something's going to go amok. Whether it's the fans are going to drive him out, the ownership's going to mess up, or Daniel is going to be nasty and end up being a good quarterback. And I hope for the Giants fan base that they should at least the
For
silver
Armando.
lining.
Only for Armando.
No, the single lining for you guys is that there's an absolute chance this guy could actually be successful. There could be a chance.
Well,
So
the Giants don't give a F about what the Giants fans think right now,
Look.
or else they wouldn't have drafted him in the first place.
Look.
well, yeah, that's
He
true.
was in the ACC, had a barely 500 record, and was not very productive. He's 6'4" and has
good.
some wheels, so he's a little bit agile. Whoop-de-friggin' do. Meanwhile, you had Dwayne Haskins throwing 50 touchdowns, only 8 picks in the Big Ten, which is a far better conference than the Powder Puff ACC, with the exception of Clemson. They're fantastic.
Okay, so this lanky 6'5" quarterback from Michigan gets drafted in the 7th round. Didn't have a great college career.
Actually,
and
he led them to a bowl game and had
Okay.
a very successful winning record at Michigan. He did. He was lanky as all get out,
Who?
Mr. Brady.
but he wasn't like a
Yeah,
star.
Brady didn't even start. Brady did not even start. He shared
Brady
starts.
didn't start.
But when he played, he had a winning record.
Yeah.
He was successful.
But
He
no-
was effective.
You know
There
why?
was
'Cause
no
it's Tom Brady.
there was
Even
no
back then.
evidence at all in his time in Michigan he was going to become
That
even
he was
close to it. He could not even
Oh, wow.
he couldn't even win the starting job. Regardless of whether he had the winning record or not, that's what's so insane to me. Like, we have this guy who's the greatest quarterback in NFL history. I don't even think at this point there doesn't even seem to be pushback. The only quarterback people say might be better is Joe Montana. Then you got your people who are like, Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback ever because look at his arm and he hasn't won. You know, you got Joe Montana and Tom Brady. Those are the two. You can say Joe Montana was 4 of 4. I feel like at this point Brady has surpassed all of that. But
Brady's the most accomplished quarterback, but
ever.
that's a different conversation.
Yeah, ever. And you can't, I mean, he's still winning at freaking 40 years old. Like, it's insane what he's doing.
41,
And
I think.
he couldn't even win the starting job at Michigan. That is so insane to me.
So that's what I'm saying is like,
You don't know.
Where's the silver lining? You guys he hasn't busted yet.
Yeah,
He's
that's
not
true.
a bust. All right. When he fails you guys, like Mark Sanchez did for the Jets, then come crawling back to me. Right now, just like Mel Kiper would say, the Giants obviously know something.
Fix your hair
we don't.
first. Fix your hair first. Fix your hair and then say it. As Mel Kiper would say.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
There's obviously something the Giants see that we don't. You know, like how he would
Yeah, they
always
see
say.
David Cutcliffe and that they like him, So, one of the most interesting things about this is when you look at this Daniel Jones pick and you look at who the Giants could have had last year in a quarterback risk draft and this year, and the fact that they're going to have to face
All right.
Sam Darnold. Now, granted, they don't play head-to-head a lot, but, I mean, they're in the
They
same
don't
city.
really.
Sam Darnold and Dwayne Haskins. Sam Darnold in the same city and Dwayne Haskins in the same division for the next several years. But the truth is, we don't know. He might end up being good. I don't think he's going to be good, but he might end up being good. I mean, you look at, there's been a lot of quarterbacks that over the last several years that we didn't think were going to be that great that have turned out to be pretty good. So I can't think of any. Maybe there aren't.
I
Maybe
mean,
they're all
I'm
terrible.
excited as a New York.
Russell
metropolitan guy.
Wilson's a great example. Russell Wilson's a great example.
Yeah.
Drafted in the 3rd round.
thought
Nobody thought
he
he
was
was going to
gonna
be
be
good.
anything.
Yeah, and now look at him.
He was still successful and effective at Northwest. Where did he go? Wisconsin?
NC State, or he played it.
He transferred though.
He transferred. Yeah, but I mean, he was
He was
okay.
successful.
He was okay. He was okay.
If
He
you
wasn't
line
incredible.
him up with Daniel Jones's stats in college,
All right.
his Daniel Jones's stats are hot garbage by comparison.
enough.
Well, guess who wins in this in the end? Who wins in the end? Who wins? Daniel Jones wins.
He's the
Because
winner.
he's a first-round draft pick.
It's the contract.
He's getting that contract. That guy won.
Yeah, he
Okay,
won.
he's laughing at everybody because everyone's making fun of him, but he's like, "Hey, they took me. Here I am." Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway.
I want to be on record as to say we'll close it after this.
It's a great topic.
I want to be on the record to say I think every single quarterback from this draft is going to be a bust. Everyone. I don't think there's going to be one good quarterback from this draft. I don't think Kyler Murray is good. I don't think that Dwayne Haskins is going to be good. I don't think that Daniel Jones is going to be good. I think the one that actually has the best chance to be decent because he's going to have lower expectations is Drew Lock in Denver. So because he fits a lot what the Broncos like to do, throwing deep and stuff like that. So
I'm gonna push back. I think Haskins, being a pocket quarterback, making reads, delivering the ball to all different quadrants of the field, has the chance. I think he has a lower ceiling but a higher floor. I don't think he's going to be an all-world, all-pro quarterback, but I do think
Last time the Redskins had a good quarterback.
Recently, Alex Smith, before he got injured. I think that, like an Alex Smith, someone who is above average, better than the league average, better than Bortles, but is a serviceable NFL quarterback who is going to be above average for a decade plus.
Is that what we're looking for? Are we looking for serviceable quarterbacks? Is that the bar?
Above average.
Is that the bar? I mean, the Redskins had Kirk Cousins, and they let him go. Here's my point with Dwayne Haskins. I think if Dwayne Haskins went to the right team, he could do okay. I think if he would have went to Cincinnati, he would probably have a chance to be good. I think maybe even Miami. I think the problem is the Redskins are cursed. The Redskins, they don't, and by cursed, I don't mean there's some kind of, the Washington football team, the natives, they're cursed. I don't mean it that way. I just mean the ownership, the moves that team makes, the receivers that are a constant turnstile there. Like, I just don't think the Redskins set up their quarterbacks to be good in the first place. And so for a quarterback to be good there, he has to have a certain set of skills. Alex Smith really kind of fits into that. Kirk Cousins kind of fit into that. I don't know if Dwayne Haskins is going to fit in well there. So we'll just have to see. I mean,
we'll tell.
I do also believe that RG3 would have been a really good quarterback in the NFL if Mike Shanahan would not have destroyed his career by putting him in when he basically had a broken leg. So,
well, he should have learned to slide.
RG3, he should not have been in that game from the first. His leg was already turned before that playoff game against Seattle. His leg was already destroyed, and Shanahan let him play, and that ruined him for the rest of his career. He's never been the same. I remember watching RG3 his rookie year. He was incredible. I had not seen a quarterback like that since Mike Vick. Mike Vick was the closest thing, but Mike Vick didn't have the accuracy the RG3 had before the injury. Now, after the injury, something with planting his leg maybe not have been the same. He was never accurate again. He didn't put the same level of work or of effort in, and obviously his leg was torn up. He couldn't run the same. So, well, all right, guys, let's wrap this up. It's time for our 30 seconds to glory. Who wants to go first?
I don't have anything, but I'm gonna continue on something. But okay. I'll go first.
Go ahead.
Giant fans, how are you? It's good to see you as a child of the 90s that grew up with Boomer Esiason and all these awesome quarterbacks. Testaverde was the fluke, amazing 98 season that we had. I think you guys should just breathe and realize that you guys do have 2 Super Bowls. You've guys been to the Super Bowl. You lost to the Ravens once, if you remember. So I just wanted to be clear that I've been through 40 years of turmoil, or our organization has, and we have always sat second fiddle. But your biggest mistake was not drafting Sam Darnold last season.
I agree.
So that is your mistake. See ya during the season when we get to play Daniel Jones versus Sam Darnold.
I know you hate me. If there's one thing that it's one thing to just deal and to know from a perspective of, look, it's cyclical. Teams are going to be good for stretches of time. Teams are going to be bad for stretches of time. But when your organization that you root for has shown over the long term a history, a legacy of high class, high morals, drafting the right people, doing the right thing, taking calculated risks, and not being stupid or too aggressive, to then all of a sudden start acting like a mismanaged organization, it's just discouraging because it makes you think that it's all getting thrown out, the baby with the bathwater.
Was that your 30 seconds to glory, Armando?
Or was he
wait, were you responding to his 30 seconds? You're not allowed to respond to his 30 seconds. You can't respond to that. That's his last word. And you took that from him.
Unless he wants
took that from them. Worse than the Jets took Sam Darnold from you. You are not allowed to. All right, Armando, let's do it.
I'm done.
You don't have a 30 seconds? Okay. All right. Armando's cut. That was his 30 seconds.
I went like this with the story.
I know you did. And then I twisted a little more. Okay. All right. So the other night, I watched one of the most entertaining basketball games that I watched all season. And no, it wasn't the Rockets and the Warriors. And no, it wasn't any of the 2 games in the Eastern Conference where literally any of those 4 teams has a chance to go to the NBA Finals, something we haven't seen in a long time. But I watched the Nuggets and Trailblazers, the forgotten series in all the playoffs right now, because we know that really neither one of those teams probably have a chance to go to the finals. But it was a quadruple overtime game. It just went on. And Jokic for the Nuggets is absolutely a phenomenal big man. He did cost them the game in quadruple overtime by missing a free throw, but he's played absolutely phenomenal. I had never even really watched him before. We've not seen a big man like him in the NBA for at least 10 to 15 years. So, it's really exciting to see the return of the big man. The series is totally entertaining. You got 2 really scrappy teams with the Trailblazers and Nuggets. I think it's the most underrated series and the one I'm actually having the most fun watching. So that's my final word, guys.
Nice.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining us, for watching the podcast. Andy, Armando, it was fun today, and I guess that's it. Anybody else got anything they want to say? You want to shout out the social media stuff?
Check us out on Twitter at IPP or IPPod. IPPod.
IPP odd.
Odd, yes. It's our Twitter, and of course, I do post the links to our Anchor and stuff. So I'd use the Twitter as a main hub to just get across to all of our stuff.
Yeah, so also you guys can check us out on YouTube, Immaculate Perceptions. And that's all we got. So we will talk to you guys later.
Sorry, Armando. Sorry.